Hello and welcome to the Smells Like Infinite Sadness podcast. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. For those of you who don't know, I run the website, smellslikeinfinitesadness.com. It's a blog covering the best alternative rock from the 80s and 90s up to present day. I'm a proud middle-aged Gen Xer who is still obsessed with the music of his youth and loves to talk about it. And today I'll be speaking to Mario Quintero. He's a co-guitarist, co-vocalist, and keyboardist of New York City metal-based duo Spotlights, joined by his wife Sarah, who also plays guitar, bass, and vocals, and is also joined by drummer Chris Enriquez for live performances. Spotlight's one of the most refreshing and unique metal bands in recent memory, building an addictive mix of sludge, shoegaze, and heavy alternative rock that makes for a truly massive sound, and more lives up to the name of last year's album, Seismic. Group are back to release Hanging by a Faith. It's an EP coming out June 15th via Ipecac Records. It features remixes of several songs off Seismic, along with a haunting and ambitious cover of the classic Cure song Faith. I spoke to Quintero about what inspired the new EP, how the art of experimentation and remixing may affect future Spotlights releases, the band's recent European tour, and much more. So sit back and enjoy, and I'll be back afterwards to play a track off the new EP. Yes, I really enjoy the new EP, Hanging by Faith. I like how you're taking songs off last year's album and giving it kind of a new shape and scope and dimension. So I was just curious how you guys decided to make a remix album. What was your initial inspiration for that, and how did that get started?
I guess it was just, we usually like to do, in between albums, do some sort of EP, something to just kind of keep the music going. And I don't know, some of those songs on Seismic felt like they just lent themselves for that, like I've, every once in a while I would check out, because we were looking into like some licensing stuff. And so I started breaking some of the songs apart into just like the more electronic aspects of them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, listening to those parts kind of inspired the idea to do something completely different with some of those songs. And I thought it was cool to kind of involve other people and have like Aaron, who actually recorded the album, Aaron Harris, have him take part in it. And his partner, who works at a company called Methodic Doubt, they do licensing for movies and things like that, or they do they compose trailers and whatnot. They were really into that idea as well. So yeah, it was cool.
And did you give like any instructions to them when you had them do remixes, the people you had involved, or you just kind of say, do your own thing, let's see how it happens, and just kind of wait for the results? And
yeah, it was totally open to whatever, I wanted them to do what they heard, so it would have a completely different take from what the songs are on the album, So yeah, it was just kind of free reign.
And we were talking about kind of doing more electronic, versions of your stuff. There's I think almost a cinematic scope to a lot of the tracks off there, especially on the remix that you did, that For Till Darkness Comes. And did you have like an initial idea of how that was going to sound like, or was it kind of more experimentation? When did you kind of get the, the general notion of how you wanted the remix to work out?
Yeah, I had a little bit of an idea, and that's actually kind of the song that sparked the whole thing. Well, actually, that's not true. The initial, we had already done a remix. Well, not us, but Chris Dirksen, who did the Hanging remix. Mm-hmm. He actually asked if he could do a remix way before. I mean, this was like right after we had finished recording the album. He was interested in doing a remix of that song. And we had that on a little tour CD that we were selling on tour when we were on tour with the Melvins. And so that had already kind of put everything in motion. But when I was breaking the songs down into the electronic parts, there's a little melody in Ghost of a Glowing Forest, which is the song that I remixed, that just always stood out to me. Like I want to do something special with that little melody. And so I had it in my mind to kind of highlight that particular little synth melody. And I just kind of opened the computer and started with that and went for it. And a few hours later, came up with what we have now.
And I really like you guys' cover of Faith by The Cure. That's one of my favorite songs by The Cure, actually. And I think you guys did a great job of kind of keeping the original spirit, but giving your own spin on it. Why did you choose that particular song, okay, and how did you kind of approach adapting it for the album?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of my favorite songs as well. It's been one of my favorites since I was a little kid. And so I don't know, I've had that idea in mind for at least a decade to do a cover of that song at some point, and it just kind of finally fell into place. And I thought, this was like the perfect scenario to put that in and give it a shot. And I also liked, I don't know, I wanted to record it in a way that brought different aspects of what I like about The Cure also. So, I mean, in my mind, it was kind of like an interpretation of that song done with more of a feeling from what they've did on like Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, like on the darker songs on that record. So yeah, it was, I don't know, just something I've been wanting to do for a while.
Were they a big influence on you guys? Were The Cure a pretty formidable influence, or was that more just kind of that one song stood out to you, or I was just like to hear how they kind of, informed your sound or?
No, definitely a huge influence, especially on me, I think. Not so much on Sarah, even though she's definitely a fan. I grew up, they've been my favorite band since I was like 11 years old. So, yeah, huge part of my upbringing.
And I know in the press release, you say that we like the idea of changing the song titles, because while these remixes really harness the core intention of the original songs, they all took on kind of a completely new life. And I was wondering, do you think this might influence your new material going forward, kind of be more experimental in this regard, or just more of a one-off?
I don't know. Yes and no. I feel like everything kind of influences the newer music, but we've always kind of had that. If you go back and kind of listen to more of like the little EPs that we do in between albums, they tend to gear themselves more towards that side of our music, more like the experimental electronic side, where the albums tend to have more of like the guitar driven, drums driven type of sound. And I don't know why that is. It just kind of, it seems to work out like that. So, I mean, maybe we'll see how it goes on the next album. Maybe we'll incorporate it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we have done that a little more in the past, but we'll see. You never know until we start.
And you guys just came off a European tour. How did that go? And I know it would be kind of impossible to do a remix in the set, but did it maybe kind of change the way you approach a song on set, perhaps, or how was?
Maybe not so much yet in the set that we were playing in Europe. The tour was great. It was a lot of fun. Played some really great shows, but we didn't really incorporate any of that because we really haven't had a chance to really play it or even with the cover, we haven't really had a chance to rehearse that. Sarah and I recorded that without ever even having played it live. So, and as far as the remixes, we definitely we're probably, in our headline sets coming up in the future, we definitely want to incorporate little elements of that throughout, whether it be in like interlude type stuff or in the songs themselves. So.
And I think, for me, Seismic was definitely my favorite albums from last year. And what struck me so much about your sound is, how massive, it definitely lives up to the album title. It's just so huge for a 2-piece. I know you guys tour as a 3-piece, but how did you guys achieve that massive sound? Was that always kind of something, your intention to get something that just sounded so larger than life and just so massive?
Yeah. I think from the beginning of the band, that's been kind of a hope, is to achieve a big, huge sound without too much going on. But yeah, that was definitely the intention, especially for Seismic, to just, wanted you to feel it, and definitely feel the rumble of the bass and all that. But that was a big part of it was Aaron, helping out with the recording and just dialing in the right tones. I think Sarah and I definitely put a lot of time into getting everything tonally right, so we don't have to just be overdubbing a ton of guitars or a ton of extra stuff to fill it in and make it sound big. I think if you have just 1 or 2 guitars and a bass with the right tones, it can achieve that same effect.
Well, and one thing I appreciate about you guys too is, so many heavy bands these days, there's not a whole lot of focus on melody, but what I like about you guys is that, as heavy as you are, there's still a sense of melody, and it's not just all one they kind of hammering at you all the time. So is there a certain way that, that you approach dynamics in a certain way? Is that something that was also from the beginning, you want to kind of combine melody and aggressiveness, and so it's more multi-dimensional in that way?
Yeah, I think that comes from our influences too. Like we both like really heavy music, and we both like really kind of like beautiful melodic music as well. And I think it's always been kind of a goal to marry that without it being like, this is our quiet song and this is our loud song, you know. So I think since the beginning, that's kind of been what we've been shooting for, is being as heavy as possible while still maintaining some sort of clarity and melody, and you know, not making it abrasive 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still feel the weight of the song without it just somebody screaming in your face the whole time.
And I mean, obviously you just came off a tour, and this album's going to come out. The remix album is coming out next month. Have you guys given any thought at all to working on new material, or are you just kind of going to let this come out and give a few months to breathe and then kind of move from there? Or have you even kind of gotten to the point of talking about working on some new stuff?
Yeah, no, we're pretty deep into the next album. Actually, it's I would say probably 80% written and kind of demoed out. So yeah, we'll be moving quickly. You know, things take so long, the whole production process and everything of making a record and setting a release date and all that. These days, it's like you have to kind of work a year in advance. So we try to keep up as much as we can. And yeah, we hope to have something out, you know, maybe middle of 2019.
Great.
But don't quote me on that. I have no idea. That's what we hope to do.
Well, I was really bummed out last time you guys came through Austin, where I live, and I didn't even realize that you were here till after the fact. Do you guys, will you be playing any more dates down here that you know of? Or?
Probably not until 2019. Right now, you know, we're working on some stuff more regionally. We're doing a release show for the EP here in New York at St. Vitus. And then we're doing a few dates with Paul Bearer, but same thing. It's all kind of like in the Northeast region. So I don't know, unless something pops up, you know, and we end up supporting somebody that goes down there. The plans are probably 2019-ish right now.
I'll definitely try to keep ahead of the curve next time, because I was really bummed out that I didn't. You guys are playing after you already played. So,
oh man.
Well, I think that covers all my questions. I guess, is there anything else you wanted to add as far as what you want to tell the fans about the EP, or any other thoughts you had about that, or anything you want to get people in the loop for?
No, I mean, I think you covered it. Yeah, I mean, if anybody's in the area here in New York, we're playing that release show on June 30th at St. Vitus, which should be really cool. We're going to do kind of like you were saying, incorporating a lot of the remix stuff and premiering the video that we did for The Hanging, and kind of make it a special night. But other than that, yeah, just keep up on the tour dates, and we'll be making more music. Well,
best of luck with the new EP, Hanging by Faith. I think your fans are really going to dig it. I can't wait for your new stuff, and hopefully I'll see you next time when you get down to Texas. So,
definitely, man. Yeah, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Mario Quintero for taking the time out to talk today. Just a reminder that Hanging by Faith comes out June 15th via Ipecac Records. You can pre-order from our site visiting smellslikeevensadness.com, looking for the blog post for this particular episode. And we're going to close out the show with a track off new EP. It's called The Hanging, Hang Us All, a remix by Chris Dirksen. So check that out and enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.